So, on today's Success or Excuses podcast, we have the one and only Davie Sneddon, Chief Commercial Officer and co-owner of Sales Geek Scotland. Welcome.
Thank you very much, James. Thanks for the good introduction as well. So yeah, literally just changed in the last kind of couple of months the kind of remit that I'm doing with Sales Geek Scotland now. So we'd obviously run Sales Geek Glasgow for the last kind of couple of years, but yeah, we've just recently created a new business.
And we're going to talk about that. Listen, before we kick in, tell us a little bit about the business. What is Sales Geek? What's it about? Just a kind of overview.
Certainly, yeah. So Sales Geek themselves is a global franchise organisation supporting businesses with their sales. Based down in Blackburn, our founder, Richard Few, started the business 8 years ago. He was a sales director operating a global lighting business, had patented Sales Geek in his bedroom and as an offshoot of what he was doing from his day job, website and whatnot. And then a couple of years later, kind of found himself actually out of work. He was due for a big promotion. It didn't happen. So he had patented and founded Sales Geek and went out into his local community as a part-time sales director, joined his local Chamber of Commerce, networking groups, and then started to grow the business. I think about 4 years later, he had obviously brought his wife into the business and a few other people, and grew the kind of products that we started doing sales training and things. Franchised the model 4 years later. So fast forward another 4 years to 8 years. Excuse me. We now have, I think we have about 25 or 26 sales geeks in the UK. We have 14 or 15 master franchises in the US. In the last couple of years, we've opened Sales Geek Dubai, India.
We're going to have to talk about that, I know.
Yeah, so it's
because we're looking to move into Dubai. We're looking to open our first office in the UAE.
Wow.
We did a market entry strategy for India. The problem we found with India, and this is purely for a customer and point of view, was we can't sell our courses for the value that we believe they are. Because they're very, very price driven in India. I mean, it's like drop your drawers. So we decided not. I mean, we spent a lot of money doing the marketing strategy for it, but we decided no. But we're in the final process UAE, so we're hoping by July, August, we should have our first employer there. So
that's fantastic.
Well, we'll talk about that anyway, because I'm really interested in this whole franchising thing.
Yeah, so the business has grown rapidly over eight years, and it really shows that there's a market out there for people who aren't quite ready to bring in full-time sales leadership, but want to do it fractionally and kind of grow that side of the business. So yeah, it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. I've been with the business Sales Geek. Sales Geek Glasgow was to start off with 2 years ago. Peter Barclay, my business partner, started about 3.5 years ago. So we came together as two franchisees next door to each other, but from the outset we met up before I even joined the business. We were still thinking about it and said, okay, if we do this, we're calling it Sales Geek Glasgow, we're joining forces, we're working together, and we're just combining our kind of resource, which we did really successfully. Two guys who'd never met each other before. So that 18 months after we kind of joined forces, we then managed to speak to Sales Geek, did a deal, and we have now the proud owners of Sales Geek Scotland. So we own the whole of the country, and we're going to be rapidly expanded, bringing in kind of regional sales directors across Scotland to help support the local markets.
Fantastic. Listen, I want to go back the way, and then we're going to work back to the start of the conversation. So we've got a quite similar background.
We do.
So go and start at the young Davie.
Right, okay. Young Davie. So I was kind of born and brought up in south side of Glasgow, kind of Battlefield and in Shawlands. Mum and Dad unfortunately split up when I was about 12 in primary 7, so I went to Dunfermline. I did my high school in Dunfermline. Listening to one of your recent podcasts, I was very similar to you. I struggled to concentrate at school. I wasn't academic at all. I didn't know what I really wanted to do.
I had that clue.
I wasn't, I'll be honest with you, my mates will maybe laugh when I listen to this podcast. I wasn't great at sports, certain sports, and the usual football, rugby. So I kind of drifted through school. And after school, didn't know what to do. Luckily enough, got myself an apprenticeship as a plant fitter. So
very
engineer. Done my apprenticeship, got that engineering background behind me. But very quickly I noticed there was guys at like 30, 35, you know, working in quarries and up to their knees in mud and diesel mechanic, you know, heavy going. I don't know if I want to do that in the next 10, 20 years. So I thought there is more to life. And I remember walking into the managing director's office. I must have been 16 and 17. I said, yeah, I'm not going to have a boiler suit on for long. And he looked at me, Peter looked at me and said, very good, son. But I followed my dreams and I went for did what I wanted to do. So around about that time I'm doing my apprenticeship. We'll go back into business in a second, but I kind of fell into doing martial arts. I started with some jiu-jitsu, and then later on, a year or two later, I started doing kickboxing.
Right.
And I did that right up to a really high level very quickly. But it really gave me, I had so much drive and so much energy, but it gave me focus, discipline.
It does, doesn't it?
And that's what's transferred into my business life as well. So, and I've got some really cracking mentors I've had throughout my life. Obviously, when my dad split, so dad wasn't around as much. But I had some fantastic, and especially kickboxing with a guy called Gary Wilson, really kept me in the straight and narrow and gave me focused direction within my kickboxing. So,
and you basically took that skill and transferred that into your career?
Into my career and business life. So, yeah, after I kind of finished my time, I worked for a friend, I run an installation business in double glazing. Then I was fortunate enough, I went abroad to Greece for 4 or 5 years. I had a fantastic time working abroad, but working for a UK company abroad allowed me to get some money back in the UK account. And then that gives me my first exposure to sales. Looking at targets, you know, being able to work with clients and sell products and services, hotel or supplier relations. But I remember sitting in the office one day, James, and looking at those. We were allowed to do league tables at that time, sales league tables. So I remember looking up at the league table and saying, right, so if I can get up here a bit higher, I can earn some more money, earn more commission, and that really where my drive started to come from sales and really push forward. So I had a really good background in sales there. When I came home eventually, kind of mid-20s, I thought, right, I need to get a real job now. So I started working for a global business called Würth or Würth, German-based supply.
I know them.
Supply workshop consumable products. I think after the first 2 years, I was third top salesman in the company. And then they started to really progress and educate me.
It's amazing how, as you go on in life, innit, when you realise that the real power of education.
Absolutely. Würth had a big academy in Kuzelslau in Germany. So they sent me over there for management training, which I really enjoyed and excelled. So very quickly started to go up the ranks. I was 10 years with Würth. They also sent me over to New York to America for kind of senior leadership management training. So 10 years was a real education and business. Again, some cracking mentors I'm still friendly and close with to this day. I think after 10 years with Würth, I took another senior management role with a company called Brammer, and now Rubik's engineering supply business across Europe. So ran a 35 million pound business unit with them. Started running team up to 70 people, 20 odd locations. So really, again, enhancing my career going forward. I think it was 6 years with Brammer, and then I went. That business actually did really, really well, James. It was growing at 15-20%, particularly in my region. We'd won loads of big contracts, and then there was a lot of. I don't know the best way to put it. The business nosedived. I think it got greedy on margin, if I'm honest. And the business nosedived. And that was a £700 million pan-European business. It went from, I think it was about £5 a share in 18 months down to like 60 pence a share.
Oh my holy moly.
We're closing branches. I was head of new business by that time. So helping to try and plug holes in a sinking ship. But luckily the business has recovered, moved on, it's been bought over, and there's been some big acquisitions in that business, so they've recovered really well. But
that's a sore one, isn't it?
It really was. It was a hard time.
Must have been quite scary as well.
It was really difficult. It was difficult for everybody because we're having to make redundancies.
Been there and bought that t-shirt.
And it's nothing. What's the worst thing I've had to ever do? It's let people go.
Listen, I had to let mates go.
Yeah.
See when the oil and gas went through, so see 2014, 15, when the oil and gas took that massive dip, it was horrendous, man.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Dave, it was, you're having to go to guys that you have known for 5-6 years. You've been out for dinner with their wives, you know, your friends, you go for drinks at the weekend, and you're having to sit them down and go, I'm going to have to let you go.
Yeah,
oh man, don't get me wrong. The weirdest thing is you get used to it, and that's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
But see, the first few, I felt like I was.
Do you still have
my baby.
your friends? You still have some relationships?
Yeah.
Still relationship. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's good leadership, then, isn't it? You know,
absolutely. I mean, see when I sat down, I let them know. Look, this is a business decision.
Yeah.
I don't have a choice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't. Here's my choices. I'm not choosing you over somebody else.
Yes.
Here's the numbers.
Yeah, I know.
This is what I've got to go.
And were you in oil and gas through the 2008? And that was at 11?
No, I started oil and gas industry in 1998.
Right, yeah.
So I joined Baker Hughes in 1998. I moved. So when I joined Baker Hughes, I first moved. So I was. They called it ad hoc. So I travelled all over the world.
Yeah.
A week here, 2 weeks there. It was brilliant. You know, business class flights, young guy from Wishaw. You know, I thought this was incredible. And then you slowly get sick of that. And then I moved to Yemen. I never met my wife in Yemen, even though she's Yemeni. I moved to Yemen. I was working in Yemen, and they asked one of the guys in Oman. So I'm still an engineer. They called me. I was a commissioner. So my specialist was variable speed drives and electronics. And a guy had hurt his back. So one of the field service managers, golfer, had hurt his back playing golf.
Right, okay.
So he couldn't get out of the chair. So he couldn't come to work. He couldn't travel. So they says to me, look, you're already here. You're the only one that's got the skill set.
Yeah.
Would you mind going to Oman for a couple of rotations? I said, sure, no worries. I'll go. Got there, I never left for nearly 4 years.
I've never worked in the Middle East before. I've never
Oh,
had the opportunity.
man.
I've done a few.
I've been all over. I've lived in Oman.
Yeah.
I've lived in Qatar. I've lived in Bahrain. I've lived in Saudi, probably Dubai the longest. I've lived in Malaysia, America, Africa, Ireland. I lived in Ireland. That was earlier years, right enough. So that gave me some amazing ground. And the reason it did is the different cultures, right? The people. I mean, people are people, right?
Yeah.
You know that from a sales point of view. People are people, right? We all, our brains all work the same, but culturally we're very, very different.
That's the thing.
That was
intrigues me.
Incredible grounding for me, because this is a really weird thing. I'm really, really big on diversity, right? Huge. It's a passion.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a male. They call it a male ally for developing females in industries, because I've seen. Like when you work with so many diverse cultures, you don't see colour, you don't see sex, you don't see gender, you don't see it. Yeah. All I see is how much value can you bring into my team or into my business. That's all I see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I find that so when you hear stories, but we have a programme, right, called Women in Leadership. It's our biggest selling programme. And it's for females in leadership, because women have different experiences than men, and different challenges and all that. And it was because we were running the programmes, we were finding this, like, females were they wanted it. This is really crazy. It's like they wanted it more. They had to fight harder than the men in the industry. Yeah. And I thought, imagine we could create a programme to give them a safe space to really understand. And we did, and that really, I suppose, because of my background and living all the different countries and no looking at sex and no looking at gender and no looking at colour and just looking at value, I used to think, I used to be shocked. See, when the stories you would tell me, Dave, I was literally shocked.
Yeah,
you know that. Anyway, I want to. So next,
I'll come back to it.
You started a business as well, didn't you?
Yeah. So I kind of after Brammer, I moved. I had a couple other roles. I started in oil and gas. I've done a lot of work in oil and gas through Brammer, but I helped set up a distribution business for ExxonMobil.
Yeah.
That was with the WP or Move Lubricants.
Yeah.
Big Brazilian-based company. So did that for a year or two, and then I started work for Snap-on Tools.
Yeah.
Who are automotive industry.
They were the number one. I don't know if they still are, but I know they were. They were like, if you went in any garage, in any decent garage, it was all Snap-on. So probably remember that when I was young.
The biggest global franchise in that industry sector. So I was general manager for everyone in Scotland and Ireland. So I had, if I think about it, I had 2/3 of the UK and Ireland landmass to look after, 3 different countries, 2 different currencies, all the regulations and stuff going on like that. So, and there was 7 guys doing my job and just in England. So that was always a bit of a challenge. I was always busy flying about and
it's tiring, didn't it? Though?
So that's exactly the point I was coming. So I was 2 years with Snap-on doing GM role. My wife and I were just about to have our first baby, first son. And I was a little bit older. I'm a little bit older than my wife, and there's a little bit.
Me too. I'm 12 years older than my wife.
We're 8, so But I looked at it and I said, I was a bit older, starting a family, so I thought, I don't want to be the dad in the hotel watching on FaceTime. So I took the opportunity.
By the way, my exact same story, by the way. Exact same story.
I said there was a lot of synergy, wasn't there? So literally made the decision. I took a Snap-on franchise on my doorstep, Disco Bride, Rutherglen, Campus Lang. So I did that for 4 years. It was fantastic. I loved it. I did really, really well. I knew the business inside out, obviously, because I was managing 60-odd franchisees before.
Which helps.
Yeah, and then I did really, really well. And then our second son was coming along. But I kind of sat down and I said to myself, this isn't really what self-employment life's supposed to be like. I was working all the hours that was going, you know.
Welcome to the world of business.
Exactly. So, but I was like evenings, weekends, and I thought this isn't
you're right.
what I wanted to do. Although money wasn't an option, it was fantastic at the time. I did really, really well in my franchise. But I wanted to get back to my roots. And I was using about 30-40% of my experience, my knowledge in terms of what I've done before in kind of sales leadership. So I said to myself, I wanted to get back into sales directorship, but I didn't want to work for a corporate company. I wanted to do something myself. So I started to talk to Sales Geek, and I think they've said to me before, I was probably the longest person that's ever discussed with them. But I had a business to close down. A lot of other leaders have come in, they've left their
and you
job.
don't want to jump into it. I mean, you already know what it's like to start up a business, whether it's a franchise or no. It's a start-up, and the first few years are the hardest years of any business start-up, in my opinion. I mean, your first 2 or 3 years were hell. Yes. To be brutally honest.
And I'm just coming at my second year, and I'm just as expanded and partnered up with somebody else. So I like to do things a wee bit differently, but it's about stretching yourself, I think, as well. So, risk or reward, I think there's
before we get into Sales Geek, I want to ask you a question.
Sure. Yeah.
Sales is one of the hardest things to master in any business, right? I consider myself a very good salesperson. Well, I actually say I'm not a great salesperson, but I'm actually really good at it. I don't enjoy it, but I'm really good at it. And the reason I'm really good at it is because I love talking to people. And this is really honestly, I never sell a thing. See, when I'm having a chat, and I just ask questions. I just ask really good questions. I get to know the person. I look at where they are, where they need to be. And if I can't fill the gap, then, like, listen, I don't know if we're really the right company for you, or have you thought about, depending on their size, listen, our stuff's no cheap. I just want you to know up front. Maybe this isn't right for you, but there's a few different things. We've got a few online stuff that's maybe more suited. And I always say to them, I know this is probably, you can correct me if I'm wrong, right? But I know a lot of people, they do the hard sales. You need an answer there. You need to book in a meeting there. I do book a meeting. I'll say to them, listen, I don't need an answer. Next week, how are you free? Either Wednesday at 2, or I'm always giving 2 dates. 2 times in 2 days. 2 options, right? What one suits you best? I can't really do Wednesday. Thursday? Thursday 3. Let's stick Thursday at 3 in. And I put a date in and I say, by the way, it's not a hard sell. When I come back to you, you'll have done a wee bit of research, you'll have thought about it. It's okay if it's not for you. See, when I phone them back up, most of the time, I would say about 70% of the time, they turn into a client. Because I haven't rushed them, I haven't pushed them, that whole pushy sales mindset thing. I haven't done any of that. And I always think, I'm going back to why is sales so difficult? Because I find it a simple process. Right, I model the language they're using, the tonality of their voice. I model everything. If they're talking polite, I put on a slightly politer accent. If they're, depends on that. If they're talking excited, I'll talk excited. If they're calm, I'll kind of be a bit more calmer. And I just think, like, sales, I mean, we've been through a lot of salespeople. We've got good salespeople, but we've been through a lot. And everybody, our problem is, and I always get told this is the wrong way to do it, we pay really good salaries, right? Our basic salaries are between 38 and kind of 45, 50 grand. They're in that range, depending on experience. But a lot of people say, but they don't have any reason to get sales in because they're making good money. And then you get people say, pay them 24 grand and the rest are commission. All our guys are on commission. I mean people. So anyway, I'm going back to the sales. Why? We have had lots of people come in with huge sales backgrounds and can't sell.
Okay.
Why is that? Why is it so difficult?
I think there's lots of things you've mentioned there. I think just to pick on a couple of bits of stuff. What you were doing when you've given people options in terms of let's talk next Thursday or Wednesday, you're already trial closing and you're setting up another future appointment. You're creating the action. So a lot of salespeople forget to do that. They do a really good sales meeting or sales call, but don't follow up. We've actually got Sales Club tomorrow in Glasgow, and we're talking about following up properly in Glasgow, which is really interesting. But I want to go back to the mechanics of sales. For me, and how I hopefully teach sales. Sales is really easy if you do it properly.
I agree.
Do you know,
but why does it seem so
okay, so I'll give you some nuts and bolts.
Because we've had, honestly, every role in our company, sales has been the hardest role to find a good salesperson. We have probably, within business development and sales, we've probably been through, in the last 8 years, 5 or 6 BDM stroke sales.
Okay, the kind of the fulcrum for it is relationships, and you mentioned that right at the start of what you said there. It's about building that relationship, and people. That's easy to say. People buy off of people, but it's true.
No like and trust. This was the
no like trust, and then if you think about the different parts of the brain, you go to the frontal cortex. It deals with your kind of facts, figures. That's a lot of processing somebody doing making a buying decision. But ultimately, if you think about the last
emotion.
it's emotion.
Absolutely.
It's the chimp part.
Absolutely.
You buy something on feeling, and that, I think if you can get salespeople that understand feeling and are emotional people, they can tap into their emotions and other people's emotions. But I think if you strip it back, it's really simple. It's about building a relationship, doing what you say you're going to do, honesty, commitment, and respect. Those were the 3 values that we put into Würth.
Yeah.
And I still rhyme them off.
Yeah.
Honesty, commitment, and respect. It really binds what you're doing. And I think in terms of the ethos and the mission statement of Sales Geek is we're here to change the perception of sales globally, and we're trying to do that. And we all believe in that because we don't want to. We want to change people who are out there as the pushy salesman, commission breath, or trying to just sell shoe on something into somebody doesn't want to buy.
Yeah, which is no sales.
It's not sales. It's
That's
just
no sales.
and
I think it's so wrong.
it's all wrong. It's all wrong.
You just cancel. If it's an order thing, you're going to cancel a week later, a day later.
You want customers and clients who you work with long term. You mentioned that when I walked into the studio this morning about you've got some really big long term clients, and that's the ideal situation. So, sales for me, relationships, and for salespeople, too many times I see salesmen talking when they should be listening. You mentioned asking brilliant questions. We help people and businesses to help their clients call it walking over the line. The closing a sale isn't some big dramatic thing that happens. If you've qualified somebody correctly, asked the right questions, moulded your capabilities into the associates into what they need, and if it fits, if it doesn't fit, do exactly what you say. I don't think we're right for them. Give them that option. Say, I don't think this is right because of A, B, and C. But if they still want to go ahead, then you've done the honest thing.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different caveats, but then to closing a sale should come naturally if you've done all the other parts of the sales process correctly.
Absolutely. It's just amazing. I don't know if it's what it is, but as I said, when you get salespeople and business development people come in with pretty decent pedigrees, and they come into your business, and with it, I won't ever mention any names, and you're listening to their sales call, right, and I just cringe.
Are they talking because they're talking when you're listening?
I just cringe. They lift the phone and it's benefits, features. And I'm like, oh, you don't even know who the person is yet.
I know. Yeah,
you asked them their challenges. Why did you answer their ad?
Yeah.
None of that.
Yeah, I know. Tell me more about your business. Tell me more about yourself.
By the way, I wrote the pitch. I wrote the pitches based on how I would sell, right? And I always say to them, but you have freedom. You don't need to say it word for word, but if you learn the way that I would do it, then you can put your own wee spin. Because I always say that I've got this thing like, when you go to the cinema, do you like the movies?
I don't mind the movies.
Right. Who's probably one of your best actors or actresses? Anyone that really jumps in.
Goodness me. I'll see if I've got his mate. Let's go Mel Gibson. I was watching Braveheart.
One of my favourite movies ever.
Film.
So Mel Gibson. So I always say, when people talk about, I don't like reading off scripts, I'll say, do you like the movies? I like movies. Who's your favourite actor? Such. See Mel Gibson when he's doing that scene in Braveheart, freedom, and you can have that the big. I says, do you think he's reading off a script, or is he ad libbing? No, he's learned the script and he's probably reading off the script and putting his own wee bits in there.
And put his emotion
That's the
into
magic
it.
of a script.
Yeah.
You don't need to say it word for word.
Framework, a guide.
Just have something, aye. And then you listen to calls and you're just like, oh, man.
And with your business, I think because a lot of your business is done on Teams, excuse me, virtually, I think having something next to you as a script is great.
Yeah.
Do you know, but for me, it's even just having, a list of questions written down. I say this a lot to people that kind of, to operate, just have it in the back of your diary. It's a list of questions. You've come prepared to a meeting.
Absolutely.
So have
preparation's number one for any sales call. I always say that. Preparation, questions, confirming do they need your services, and then ask at the end, asking. Ask, tell them at the end of this conversation, I'm going to ask you a couple of different questions. Are you ready to buy? That's how I've always been taught. Just ask. If you don't ask, you don't get.
So I think those are key foundations to sales. I mean, there's a lot of different nuances when you go into sales in different aspects. We start talking about sales leadership and sales management, but the fundamentals of any salesperson for me is kind of honesty, commitment, respect. Ask the right questions. Don't talk. I mean, I was training a team up in East Kilbride last week, and I said to the guys, okay, in a sales call of any type, give me a percentage of how much you think you should be talking and how much you shouldn't be talking. And there was various different answers, but the statistics tell us we should be talking 30% of the time. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, the follow-up question was, okay, well, in that 30%, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Mm-hmm. Like products, services, features? No, we're asking six brilliant questions that you're going to get great answers for, because if you get that, everything else should, and if it fits and it works, everything else should fall into place.
Listen, I follow a girl right on LinkedIn, Nia, can't remember her second name. Okay. She works for another sales franchise. I think they're called Sales. What are they called? Sales Coach.
Right, okay. Action Coach, maybe?
No, sales coach. Right, okay. It's a sales training company. Okay. And I follow her on LinkedIn because she does she does them live, but she records the calls.
Right, okay.
Man, she's incredible. She's like, listen, she tells them straight up the back, listen, 30 seconds of time, this is a cold sales call. However, if you give me 30 seconds, I'll make it worth your while. Yeah. Is that okay? You're right with that? If I get 30 seconds of your time, and then she's in there 3 or 4 minutes. You know, and just listen to her. It's a script, of course, but she's made it her own. But see, listening to her, I'm like, wow. I mean, that girl is, and I always think, imagine I had somebody like that in my team that can just, because we don't really do cold call.
Yeah,
everything's lead generation.
It's all warm,
well, they're supposed to be warm. So anyway, I want to go back. So that's the kind of sales stuff. So I want to get into the leadership side of things.
Okay.
What would you say, what makes a great leader, whether it's a sales leader or leader? What do you think makes someone a good leader, or a sales leader? We'll stick to sales.
Yeah. I think in terms of sales leadership, they've got to have the fundamentals we've just discussed, you know, at the heart and the core of what they do. But good sales leadership is kind of understanding the people in the team environment around you, leading them in the right direction, the right way. And I think leadership's probably changed in sales a lot. If you think back to the pushy salesperson,
it's gone. People don't accept that any longer.
He's probably got a really pushy leader behind them.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think it's about guiding people and setting the right environments for them to work in. And I think really a lot of things with sales, because people think about KPIs, commissions and bonuses, I think having the right structure and putting the right processes in place for the team to be able to kind of sell ethically and morally correct, but then have the right motivations to go and be able to sell properly and earn money for themselves and their families.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm going to go back to that whole scenario of, what do you do? So here's another question for you. And this will be great for the people listening that are maybe in a similar situation, because we've got listeners for large companies all the way down to kind of, smaller, kind of 500,000 size companies that listen to the podcast. And a lot of them will be thinking, what do you do as a business owner, right, when your sales team aren't performing? Because you don't want to push them too hard. You don't want them to become pushy salespeople. What do you do? What would your advice be to them?
Advice, I think, if things aren't working right, and I had a conversation with somebody in Kilmarnock yesterday in a similar vein.
There's a reason I'm asking the question. We'll get to that next.
Sometimes a different voice, a different direction, different train of mind, different influences can really, really help. And that's like when people do turn to people like us for either sales training or support with sales leadership. Yep. It depends on loads of variables, how long the business is running, where the direction it's going, what growth plan it's in. You know, how does it look in terms of the growth plan? Sometimes people can be too over-ambitious with their growth plan, which can just switch people off, because that's the right motivation. Motivation is the drivers. Do you know, but then it's about having the right blend, isn't it?
Well, we hit 1.5 million last year, right? And my plan was to hit about 2.2 this year. We're not going to hit 2.2. Okay. You know, we might end up the same as we did last year. But we brought in people, we increased our marketing budgets, you know, we did everything to plan and prepare for the growth, and it just never came.
Never came.
And so you start to kind of get that, what have I done?
And then the market can dictate some of that stuff as well.
The market this year is dictated it. Yeah. Or last year, should I say.
So the markets fluctuate and change, and then it's been able to to plan for that in advance, if you can. You know,
well, the thing is, how do you plan it? Right, and I'll tell you why. Right, so last year, everybody's costs, if you run a business, you've got employees, your costs went up, right, with the employer national insurance thing. And most of our clients are all larger companies, so they're all hit too. And what I've noticed on since April last year, is people are really tightening their belt. I mean, even big companies are really tightening their belt, whereas, you know, we would be, you know, running training for 100 grand here, 100 grand there, and they're like, we're only going to put 3 or 4 people in this time. And this is clients we've had for 4 and 5 years. Yeah. It's just everybody seems to be, and our costs are going up, and they want it. So then what you're having to do, you're then going to have to look at, right, because I always consider us to be a premium product, right? We're not a low end, we're not a high end, we're not the kind of big beasties, you know, the what do you call them? With some of the bigger companies. Anyway, we're not the big, but we're a high end. I consider us to be a high end. We're a high end, but so you're having to relook at all your pricing. Your costs are going up, your pricing's going down, and you're just like, what the hell is going on with this country?
That when I speak to business owners as well about when their businesses aren't maybe performing the way they wanted to be, and you may have touched on it yourself, you've maybe already done this, but I say, when was the last time you had a price increase? All your internal costs are going up, and people are so nervous, I can't put my prices up. Absolutely, people expect to get a price increase. You know, there's so many different variables you need to look at within a business to be able to drive the number, to drive the growth. But I think price increases is something you mentioned, especially exponentially costs are going up across the board. You've got to transfer that onto your client, and if you need to look at different ways and different options to try and bring revenue in, then that's something businesses need to do a lot.
Absolutely, right. So, started up your franchise, and how long are you into the franchise now?
2 years now.
2 years. So what was it like first starting up? And the reason I want to talk about franchises because we're actually looking to franchise your business. So I'm in talks about franchising the Power Within. So I want to kind of understand that.
I'll take you back.
What sold you on it?
If you'd said to me 10 years ago when I was in my corporate world, franchising, I'm not into that. There's too much margin dilution because you're working with somebody else. But having worked with Snap-on Tools and now Sales Geek and franchising, and I've worked as a franchisor and a franchisee, so I've got a 360-degree view of all aspects of it. You know, there's so many big benefits. You know, I wouldn't want to go out in business on my own because a lot of the things that you've done
the mistakes you make, the things you don't know, testing your products, you don't know if the market wants or needs. Been there. First 3 years was hell.
and even by using a franchisee, it's tough. It's hard. So it's a very similar challenges, James. But I think the levels of support, unseen blind spots you don't. One of the big things for me, for example, how Sales Geek work. Sales Geek have a third-party relationship with a client, so they do all the invoicing, all the collection. We work in a retainer, so we get paid like a month. Sales Geek get paid a month in advance. So for me, there's no chasing money, there's no chasing bad debt.
Right. So you get there, you win the business, and then Sales Geek, the organisation, do the invoicing.
Third party did that. Right. So that for me, that was a big massive tick because my previous business was a lot of chasing bad debt, which wasn't nice.
It isn't nice.
So there was that, but there's internal support, there's all the products, there's the training, there's the whole bank of material that we can deliver that we don't have to write for ourselves because it's all done. We've got people that adapt that and amend that. And then there's all the kind of HR support and all the different facets of the business.
And that's all part of the franchise.
All part of the franchise. Isn't it? Things that you don't really need to worry about. There's still a million and one things you have to do running a business.
At the end of the day, you're still a business owner.
But we get to go out and focus on growing the business, building relationships, growing a community that we've done, for example, in Scotland. and not have to do a lot of the back office stuff. So that for me is one of the biggest.
You've done a really good job as well. I mean, it went from nobody knew who they were to, you know, if you're in Glasgow and you're in business, you know who you guys are.
Sales Geek, yeah.
You know, people know who you are.
So no, and part of the way that we've executed that plan is through our sales clubs, which is 2 hours free sales training every month. We do Glasgow, Paisley and Edinburgh. Businesses and business owners and anybody within their sales or any organisation can just come along, get to know us, speak to our community and get to know a bit more about what we're doing and get some free sales training as well. So things like that, building our community and Sales Geek, again, Sales Geek 101, if you like, Richard Few started it. He built his own sales club, you know, and it's funny.
So you're following a model.
Following the model.
Aye.
Peter and I have kind of pioneered some of the model now for ourselves because we're still an 8-year-old company. It's still new. So we're the first 2 franchisees that have come together and bought a bigger business as well. So we're kind of breaking new ground there with myself and Peter. So lots of new things to come. There's lots of challenges and there's lots of different ways that we need to kind of improve what we do. But I think having that background and that support and that intelligence behind you, it reduces the amount of mistakes you make. We're still going to make mistakes in business. Still got to overcome them. But as you've openly mentioned on lots of your podcasts, lots of conversations we've had, that you do make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And
still making them.
I know, and Peter and I as well. A lot of the franchisees around the globe now are kind of pairing up, not even coming together commercially, but just pairing up because Peter and I having that partner.
That's a kind of action coach model, isn't it? That's what they do. They kind of come together and do some shared joint ventures.
Yeah, just absolutely. It's interesting you mentioned action coach because we actually work with an action coach in India.
Right. Okay.
So there's probably a further conversation we need to make some introductions to each other in India. So, but yeah, I think in terms of having that backroom support. And somebody to lean on, another ear to listen to, and then with Peter and I slightly different because we speak to each other daily about. I think maybe you've got that similar relationship now with your wife as your business is growing.
Absolutely, I'm incredible.
It's important to have that mentor and somebody to bounce off, somebody to vent to, you know,
somebody to whip you in the sheet when you're going wrong,
absolutely, and make mistakes because. We've had conversations really, we're like, that's the wrong direction, or Peter's challenged me and I'll challenge him back, whatever. So, yeah, I think. But to answer your question with a franchise, it's about having the experience and the knowledge and the support behind you. So you're not out on your own. You mentioned that earlier on in the conversation. That lonely world that entrepreneurship and a business owner can be. It's important to have the right people around you.
Do you know how it came about? It was somebody had mentioned to me, I don't know if it was in somebody else's podcast I was on, and somebody had said to me, because what we do, we're very unique in the leadership market, right? We've got our own framework that I designed and developed called motivational intelligence. It's all backed by science and all that. And, you know, we've got our own psychometric test. We've got business psychologists that work for us that designed our psychometrics. We've got our own coaching portal, executive and business coach portal. And we've spent about £250,000 on our CRM. So bespoken it. Right? And you're like, and everything's transferable. It's a blueprint. You know, we can take that CRM, we can copy that CRM, that blueprint, and paste it into somebody else.
Okay.
So they've got so for example, right, our CRM, this is an incredible system. So lead comes in, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, wherever it is, website, lead. So the system pulls that lead in, pulls all their information in, and it's into a funnel. And it'll go, depending on which product. We used to have product direct, we called them product line account managers, so it would only go to that, but now it just goes into a pot. So it goes into a pot, salespeople got up in the morning, they look at all the leads that came in, they assign them to themselves. So, I'll take that lead, I'll take this. So they assign the leads to themselves. They've got 12 hours to call, should be less, but they've got 12 hours to call. I've tried to reduce that, but they work normal hours, right? They don't, So I always think to myself, anyway, we'll get back to that in a minute. So the lead comes in, and it goes into first call, second call, third call, fourth call, fifth. And by the way, they also get emails, so they get an email chain as well, so they be reminders and
different ways of communicating with the client.
So, so I think we try and do it, is it 11 touches in total? And then at the end of the 6th call, so if they don't answer, or you can book in, if they say, can you call me back on? Call back. It keeps everything, right? The CRM, everything. Now, let's say they're showing an interest, and they go into, so they go for a lead to a contact. As soon as they show an interest, they go for a lead to a contact. Once they've decided, this is for us, they go into what they call a deal. once they paid, this is automatic. You just literally click a button.
Yeah.
They literally, and by the way, or a Ring Central system, it's all built in. Records the calls, records the conversations.
So you can coach and develop.
Everything's there.
Yeah.
Everything, every email, every text message is in the system. So you can go and look at all the communication. Anyway, then they go to deal. Once they pay their deposit, click, they go to into what they call a learning portal, a learning phase, and they start again. Hi, welcome. You're signed up for Leading with Motivation Tales, Business Growth Academy, whatever it is. Here's your start dates. Here's your password. Here's the link to your LX. So we've got our own LMS. It's also linked to it. It's a learning management system with our courses in it. And I thought, because we spent so much, because I always think, right, there's lots of great off the shelf stuff, but they never do what you need it to do. Right?
Yeah.
So we thought, well, we've got an off the shelf system that they allow you to bespoke, right? They allow you to develop,
to grow the system.
Based on you. You've got to have the building blocks in the back end, and if they don't, they'll go in by. This is what's amazing about it's called Zoho, right? It's an Indian software, and let's say you come up against a brick wall and you can't get something, they'll actually go and design it into the back end for you. They go and design it into the back end. I don't know, like, can you give a week? And, anyway, so that was why the franchise, somebody said to me, when I was telling them about the systems and process and how it worked, they're like, it's a franchise model.
Yeah.
And I've always been
frightened.
frightened.
Enough, James, Sales Geek use Zoho as well.
So do you?
Yeah, we use it, yeah.
There you go.
We work with some guys in Ireland to help fit Zoho into the other businesses as well. So yeah, I completely agree. It's got so many arms and legs that they can.
It's unbelievable. Zoho One, you've got everything.
Yeah. So we use
you
that.
can build web pages, you can build landing pages. It's got everything.
Great system, yeah.
Aye. And anyway, so that was the franchise part. I've got another question for you. And so I'm always thinking, what have I not tried? We'll stick with the sales, right? So what have we not tried? And I've always seen companies that advertise the sales, and they do the sales for you. So you give them leads, they do the sales. What is it you call that? Sales agencies?
Yeah, kind of external sales.
What's your opinion on that? Because I'm in the final stages signing up to another company. No, we'll still get our salespeople that will do that, but we're going to provide them with different leads. What's your opinion on? Because I've never done it before.
Yeah, the service I provide sales leadership for businesses, so similar. But in terms of doing external sales, I can't think of an example of when I've used it or I've worked with a company that's used that before. I think that's just about having an O'Brien criteria and understanding exactly how they offer and what they do, and how they fit into your business. I think, given what I know about your business, that could be an option. My concerns would be kind of how much are they going to buy into your actual business, and whereas there's an emotional relationship when you work for a company. So my concerns would be a bit about around that. I need to know a bit more about it.
That's my concerns too, by the way.
Yeah,
and the reason being is because all our employees are full-time. So they live and breathe their products.
That would be my concern.
And every employee that we've got also goes through all our training programmes. See, in the first 3 months, they go through the Business Growth Academy, Women in Leadership if they're females, Leading with MQ if they're men, Managing with MQ. So everybody, so that everybody understands exactly what it is we do.
Yeah. So I'd love to learn how it goes and understand more about it. Peter, very early on, was in discussions about trying to bring some external business development into some of the stuff that we do. We didn't follow that path, but I know there is a requirement for that. There's a need for it in the marketplace. So it'd be interesting to see how that develops, because that's what we do in terms of leadership, sales leadership into companies. But when we work with a client, we'll probably try and recruit somebody into the business and all sorts. But having said that, we use, in all of our business, we use external marketing, we use external lead generation. So why wouldn't it work for sales?
Well, we do everything in-house right now. So we've got our own marketing, so we've got 3 people in a marketing team, we've got our own sales team, so we do everything. We use third parties for like Google and things like that, but mostly everything's in-house. So we've even IT now. So we hired our own engineer from Strathclyde Uni, so graduate engineer. We hired them 7-8 months ago, and they take care of everything, back end, website, improving everything. So that's there. So we've got them full time. Sales has always been, and the reason I don't like to go external is like exactly what you said there. It's the worry that, are they going to have the same passion, right? Because see, when I talk, right, nearly any time I speak to somebody, but particularly if it's online, right, and we're having a chat about potential opportunities, everybody's like, man, I'm buying into your passion, never mind anything else. They're buying into the that passion about what I have for what we've built and how we can help. And you always worry, are they going to have that same passion?
I think in terms of just when I come back to Sales Geek, when we go into work as a business, as a part-time sales director, we've clearly got the passion for the business to kind of make it succeed. But in terms of how it works on a board level, a leadership level, is, for example, if I was coming to work with you, your business, it's somebody to look over at board level who doesn't have that emotional connection with the business. Who can step back and look at things from a colder light. And I think that's sometimes what really helps our clients. So I'm trying to work out how that would work with a salesperson, because they're not there, they're here to sell the product, and they need to have the passion and drive to kind of be able to do that. I'd love to touch back on a point that you've raised a couple of times here, because you mentioned about this psychology of sales, and how you run your business, some of the products and services you do. At Sales Geek, we supply disc. We work with a lot of different diagnostics.
I know disc very well.
TTI.
Done disc for a long time.
Yeah, so we do a lot of that stuff as well in terms of supporting some of the diagnostic tools, skills gap analysis, disc reports, various different types. So we're keen to learn a wee bit more about how you put that into your modelling and how you do that.
So we've got our own diagnostics tool. It's motivation terms. So it's testing somebody's level of MQ, motivation terms leadership. And what it does is, I think there's 7 or 8 points. So it measures your mindset growth, fixed. It measures self-leadership. It measures grit. All these different parameters, and it runs a report like DISC. So it runs a report, and it shows you where you're in the, and what we do before. So anybody that comes on our course, we don't sell it, the psychometric. It's only for customers or clients. So if you sign up for one of our programs, you do a psychometric, and you do a post psychometric, and what it does is it shows you the return on investment, basically. It shows you the ROI, so it shows you where you were when you came in and where you are now. And that's for us has been an absolute brilliant sales tool.
It's interesting.
For that recurring business.
So we have a psychologist in our business, one of the directors, James Denny, and he runs all that side of the business, because we have a bit similar stuff, the EQ stuff, in our leadership training as well. Some of the stuff that we run as well. So a lot of similarities in terms of kind of in that side of our businesses.
But listen, as you know and I know, sales is a mindset. Being a successful business owner's a mindset. So, I mean, see when you strip it back, it's the wee voice.
Absolutely is.
Isn't it?
And one of the things I kind of wanted to touch right back onto at the start, when we mentioned about leaving school and starting to kind of get involved in kind of martial arts and stuff, that's the trigger for where I've got to. I've had to
100%.
use that drive. I've had to dig deep, use strength and mindset and my mind to kind of to get me where I wanted to get to, because I was the same as you. I had zero, an average education, but I just had to go and work and drive and push and fight.
Find the path,
fail and push.
Find the path, success or excuses.
Exactly. I know, and I loved that when we first spoke. So
you know where it came from?
No, tell me.
The book. I wrote a book. So that's my story.
Yeah.
So you can have success or excuses you cannot buy. You're getting one of them by the end of the day.
Thank you very much.
So and that's where it came from. So my wife had been at me for the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, this is a year and a half ago. I wrote the book, nearly 2 years now, and she kept saying, "You need to tell your story, because with so many people will be in the same boat, but they're constantly making excuses why they're like that." Because I've got ADHD and I've got dyslexia. I know everybody says I've got it now, but I've always had dyslexia. Yeah. I didn't know I had ADHD. I just couldn't concentrate. Unless something really interested me, I wasn't interested. I would sit and wonder. I couldn't concentrate. Something interests me. I am so focused. I mean, it's like laser. You know, my wife will come into the office and she'll talk to me and she'll tell me a story, and I'm in the middle of doing something. I don't hear a word. Yeah,
it's interesting, because I've never been diagnosed with either of them, but I know I'm there as well. I know I'm there as well.
You're on the spectrum of something.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just never went and diagnosed that. But interestingly, when we were talking about making that decision from going for the corporate world at Snap-on, my franchise, and then to move on to kind of start with Sales Geek, that took nearly a year. But I brought in a business coach to make that decision, because I've 2 young children. I was doing £500,000 a year or more in my business, and I thought, do I really want to walk away from this to start something new again? So I worked with somebody, psychologist as well, to help me really make the right business decision. But they really take
the emotion out of it, and really look at it
and help and dig back into your past. So that really helped me make the right foundations to go on and follow my dream with doing Sales Geek.
Brilliant. Listen, we're nearly at the end of the podcast. You wouldn't believe that's still an hour already, would you?
Wow.
So ask all my guests right at the end of the podcast their top 3 pieces of advice in business or in life. So there's somebody listening, whether it's somebody that's in business, whether it's somebody that's looking to start a business, or maybe leadership or sales, whatever it is. There's no. What's your top 3 pieces of advice?
Okay, I'm going to put 3 themes.
Go for it.
So we talk a lot about skill set, mindset, goal set. So skill set you can work at and you can train. For a really good salesperson or a sales leader, you have to have some fundamental great attributes which you can mould, but skills you can develop and change.
I agree 100%.
So skills,
I'm bought into that one.
training, working with the right people, the right clients,
you build that
and attaching to people in your community. So mindset is to be managed and to be helped, and there's lots of different people you can talk to help you, but having a strong desire, goal, to be able to succeed and not make excuses. That's a lot. That's internally, and then goal set, just having many wins and celebrating them, having a long-term vision.
I'm a huge goal setter, baby.
And
huge.
then goal set and have those milestones. Peter and I are always pushing ourselves to the next goal sets. I mean, we do some big events at Hampden. We've been doing sort of a leadership event, and we had a big one kind of in November. We've got another one planned for May. We're in Hampden yesterday, so we've even pushed the bar again. Not pushing it too far, but to kind of raise the bar. So my advice would be skill set, goal set, mindset. If you can work with those 3 kind of ingredients, I think you'll go a long way.
Amazing. Go on anything else?
Just about do something you enjoy. Something you're really passionate about. It takes a while. We were talking. I was actually at Hamilton College on Tuesday this week at a business breakfast with a lot of business leaders, and we were doing mock interviews with S5s and F6s who are about to leave school. And first of all, interviewing some of the youth today was fantastic. A real learn with the confidence that they've got. I think it's just we're trying to understand. I was talking to some. You might not know. I didn't know what I really wanted to do in terms of getting into sales until I was 25. And normally people that drop into sales and business development, they don't start out wanting, they don't leave school saying I'm going to be a salesperson.
No.
So,
unless you maybe get a salesperson in your life, whether it's your dad or your mum, and you realise you can make a lot of money if you're a good salesperson.
And I suppose my father was in insurance, and I seen him get out with the suit on every day and working. He grafted hard, so that's what kind of gave me some of that direction. So, but pick something you really like to do, have the right goal set, mindset, and go for it. Don't hold back.
Take action.
You get one chance at it.
Take action.
If you fail, okay, get back up and do it again, but do it better.
Listen, Dave, we're right at the end. I want to tell a wee quick story. So you talk about going to Hamilton College. I'm actually going to Glasgow College at the end of this month, and I'm doing 4-hour sessions, so 4 1-hour sessions, and it's for the business students. And I was basically going in there and talking about motivation, mindset, and self-leadership. And the action, just exactly what you said, and that's why I wanted to mention it, because that's my theme. So it's 1 hour, and the whole theme is exactly what you said. That in order to skill set something you can learn. It's the mindset that matters, and having a really clearly defined set of goals. Where you're going, the whole vision. Where is that a month I'll go? Why does it matter? Because I always think there'll be so many young people because it can be really confusing the world. Because I think my day and age. Because it's more confusing now than it's ever been. And I just think if I can just have 1 or 2 of them walk away and go, I've got it, I know what I'm doing.
Couple of stats.
My job is done.
Couple of stats for you. Only 3% of business people write their goals down. And of that 3% of people that write their business goals down, they're 30% more likely to achieve them.
100%.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm a huge, in fact, my whole team, every Friday, they get 2 hours every Friday, and we call it high payoff actions or activities. So mini goals.
Yeah.
So what's the 5 goals you're going to do on Monday, 5 on Tuesday, 5 Wednesday, 5 Thursday, and 5 on Friday. So 5 mini goals that they're going to do. So they're committing to it, and it's out there and it's in the system, and everybody can see each other's goals. And at the end of the month, they've got to go back in and check what ones they've done. Then they've got to answer. What did you do well this week? What didn't go so well? What are you going to do next week, different next week, to make sure you get back on track? Anyway, listen, Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Before we go, let me grab a wee bit for you.
That's great.
There you go, mate. That's for
Thank
you,
you very
success
much.
and
Really appreciate
excuses.
you coming on the show.
Absolute pleasure, man.